Okay, so a lot of people are asking for a story time on who's responsible for my diagnoses. Um, if you don't know, I am 22 years old. I was diagnosed with HIV in August of 2023 at 21 years old. I'm gonna get into it with y'all. So I was 21. It was March of 2023 when I got my last STI and HIV test, and that was negative. I had just turned 21. I was outside. I was doing my thing. No shame. It is what it is. But anyways, there's 3 people that I needed to tell from March to my diagnosis in August. And I'm gonna get into each of the people. Okay, so the first person we're gonna go back to. But the first person I met in April, and I had seen him probably once, twice a week, every week for maybe, let's say 2 months. So April, May, June, right? Okay. So the first person I had met in April, and I had been sleeping with him on and off, like just as a situationship from April to May and June, right? We'll call him Tom. And then I had met someone and like we were more serious. I was with him from June to July, but it didn't last long due to just like issues. And the third person that I needed to tell, I had been with him from July to when I had been diagnosed in August. So we'll call them 1, 2, and 3 in this scenario. So keep in mind the first person, I had been with him from April to June. It may be April to late May, to be honest. But late June, I started to develop a fever. I had 105 fever for 7 days straight. I went to the ER and I was not tested for HIV because I didn't meet the HIV standard, which is being gay or using drugs. I'm straight. I need to emphasize that. So anyways, had 105 fever for a week straight, and after that I just got sicker and sicker and sicker, and I had been in and out of the hospitals, doctors, nobody knew what was wrong with me, right? So we get to August, I'm in the hospital, I finally figure out that I'm HIV positive. I have to make 3 different phone calls to 3 different people because I, obviously, as hard as that was, I'm not gonna not tell these people because 1, they need to protect themselves, get tested, and I don't want to put someone else at risk, and 2, I want to know who's responsible, so I give their names to the Department of Health, obviously, and then I contacted them personally because I wanted to tell them. Now, I had 3 different reactions to my diagnoses, and I'll get into that. So the first reaction, he was sympathetic, he was so kind, like nice, and he was kind of confused. Like, I was like, okay, like, you need to go get tested, like, blah, 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 and he was kind of lost, like, what does all of this mean? Like, what is HIV? Like, I'm just confused. Like, he was very, like, kind of immature to what was going on. But I also had no clue about this before, so it was fine. I guided him the right way. He got tested, provided me negative results. The second person was my boyfriend at the time. He treated me so bad. Barely asked if I was okay when I was in the hospital. Didn't check on me. When I was in the hospital, I literally had to find somewhere for him to get tested. And this man was on the phone yelling at me, talking about, oh, I don't have health insurance, and like, who's gonna pay for this? Like, it was all about him, and like him being scared. Never comforted me. Like, he was just like, God showed me that he was not meant to be my boyfriend, and that was like a blessing in itself. At that time, it like upset me. I was devastated by that a little bit because like I had just been stigmatized, and like, you know, it was hard. But this is what I really want to talk about. This third person, okay? This third person, one night called him and I asked him. Looking back now, at the time, I had been in the hospital for literally 5 days, hadn't even seen the sunshine. So I just wanted to like get off the phone, do this conversation and get off the phone, you know? I call him and I said to him like, hi, you know, I've been diagnosed with HIV. And the first thing this man said to me was, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. What's your treatment plan? In that moment, like we talked for a little bit after that. Like he was like, oh, I'm here for you, blah, 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 like XYZ. But he asked me what my treatment plan was. Why would you ask me what my treatment plan was unless you already had an understanding of HIV, right? So in the hospital, in the state that I'm in, they, the Department of Health will call you. They called me while I was in the hospital. They will call you and ask who you came into contact with. And they will ask for your sexual partner's first, last names, addresses if you have them, date of birth, whatever you have pertaining to these people, so they can, one, contact them as well and let them know. But two, like, it's a health risk. Like, these people need to be aware of my status because I came into contact with them point blank period. So I gave this information to the health department, and this third person that I asked, he was also the only person who literally could not provide me a negative test result. I asked him twice, he ignored me. He randomly disappeared in July. I started getting sick in June, and in July he randomly disappeared and moved to Texas. Like, he called me and was like, come see me, like, I'm leaving in 2 days, like, and I was like, no, I'm good, like, kind of get off that. Like, I just didn't want any parts in him at that point. And I thought it was weird that he randomly abruptly moved. Like, it was just odd. His life was so established here in Tampa, like, I didn't understand it. But I didn't think much of it because at the end of the day, it didn't affect me in that moment. Later, I realized now that he's in a different state and the laws are so different, there was nothing I could do. I called lawyers, I talked to doctors, I asked so many people, like, is there anything more that I can do? And nobody could really help me. So that was really it as far as who's responsible. I don't necessarily know that he was responsible. My gut says that he was responsible, but I just, like, was kind of at odds with that, and I ultimately chose peace for my own sake, and that's my story as to who is responsible for me being diagnosed with HIV.